Hi, good evening everyone. We'd like to welcome you to New Year's Resolutions and Housing Solutions. I'm Cindy Heinzman from Galloway, and Scheetz Real Estate, and I'm here with Terri Riley from Security Federal. And we're here at Black Dog Coffee to share some housing solutions with you tonight. First of all, I've got some data that's very encouraging if you're a seller based on third quarter reports from 2018. And I'd like to give you some great news that the average sales price of properties in Cass County are between $84,000 and $96,000, which is greatly up from 2017. And the average sales price just across the board is $82,000, which is up from $79,000, and prior to that $75,000. So we're seeing some great gains in property values. So if you're wanting to put your house on the market in 2019, it's a great time for you to do so. Currently in our market, we've got 92 active residential properties in Cass County, 71 in Logansport. So if you take into consideration our population, we've got a lot of buyers and few properties, few options for them. So what this has created is a seller market. We have a good supply of buyers and not as many listings. So this has brought our prices up. The supply and demand rules apply. We've got 23 residential listings under $50,000 right now and 48 over $50,000. So we've got buyers in all of these price ranges and just not as many homes to offer them. So good news for you as a seller. And I'd be happy to come and meet with you at your house and give you an idea of what your property would get on the current market. If you're wanting to do that, just wanting some information, I'd be happy to help you with that. And I know that Terry's got some things to share with you tonight. Terri?
Okay, well, just to reiterate what you said, it definitely is a seller's market. I have been, usually this time of year it slows down a bit, but I have been pre-qualifying buyer after buyer. So if you are a seller, now is a good time to sell, but if you're a buyer, those interest rates are still really low. They're not as low as they were 3 or 4 years ago, but they're still very good interest rates, and it's a good time to buy a home. But let's talk a little bit about credit and pre-qualification. What do the credit bureaus look at when they're comprising your credit score? 35% of your credit score is based on payments. So if you have a credit card payment, if you have a car loan payment, whatever payment you have out there, make sure you make it on time, because once it goes 30 days late, it hits your credit report and your credit score will drop a great deal. So 35%, make your payments on time, simple. 30%, and this is something that a lot of people really just don't know about, but it weighs 30% on your credit score. And it's called amounts owed. And what that means is every time you get a credit card, you're given a limit. Say you get a brand new credit card and you're given a $500 limit. And the store that gives you the limit and provides the card, they want you to charge, of course, as much as you'd like up to that limit. But the credit bureaus look at it differently. If you exceed 20% of the credit card limit, then that will negatively affect your score. And the more you exceed that 20%, the lower your score will go. So that's very important to keep that in mind. Never charge over 20%. Length of credit history, the longer you have credit open, the more points you receive and the higher your score goes. Types of credit used, they like to see a mix of credit, maybe a credit card, maybe an installment loan, and even a mortgage. So the more types of credit you have, that can help your credit score too. And then new credit. If you have somebody run your credit or open up a bunch of new credit, that can temporarily hurt your score too. One thing to keep in mind by law, when you run your credit report and get your score, it doesn't affect your credit. By law, you're entitled to 1 free credit report a year from each of the 3 bureaus. But whenever somebody else runs it, then that can negatively affect your score a little bit. So keep that in mind. You don't want a lot of people running your score, especially if you're getting ready to buy that new car or buy a new house. Now you are If you're shopping for a rate, you can have your credit ran for a mortgage by different lending institutions within 14 days, and that's only considered one hit. So definitely keep that in mind, because your credit score can not only affect whether or not you get a loan, but it can affect your interest rate. And it does affect a huge variety of things that enter into your life, but definitely can affect your interest rate. So we have some questions that people have asked, so we'll go ahead and go over those. One question I had was, can I build my credit before I turn 18? If so, how do I do that? Well, that's a yes and a no. By law, you have to be 18 years old to borrow money, which means a credit card, that's borrowing money or getting some type of loan. But if you want to try building credit prior to that, maybe if you have a parent that has a credit card, they may be able to add you on as an authorized user. Now, not every credit card company has their own rules and regulations, so that might be something you can shop around for. But if you want to do it on your own, you cannot do that before you turn 18. And there are a few other rules that factor into that regarding credit cards, which I'm not going to get in too deep into that. How far in advance should I start planning and monitoring my score before I decide to purchase a home? Definitely a year. And if you can monitor before that, the longer the better. And I encourage everybody to come in and get a pre-qual, right? Even if you're not ready to purchase a home, we definitely can review your credit and set some goals and figure out a way to reach those goals regarding your credit. So I'm more than happy to do a pre-qual, even if you're not quite ready to purchase a home. Does a personal loan approval and home loan approval work the same? Do I have the same odds of approval for both types, or does it vary? And that's really that would take an in-depth answer, because they are two different types of loans, and personal loans can encompass whether it's an unsecured loan or an auto loan. And also every lender has their different rules and regulations. So a lot of the basics, though, lenders look at a lot of the same basic things, such as credit score, debt ratio, length of time on job, things such as that, whether it's a personal loan or a mortgage loan. To investigate it further, you would need to ask your lender, and they can provide more detailed information.
Okay, great. I have about 3 questions on my list. Is it a seller's market or a buyer's market, and do you predict it will stay this way throughout 2019? That's a really good question. As I had mentioned earlier, it is indeed a seller market, and these seller market conditions are expected through 2019 unless there would be a problem with the economy that would affect the market. So we expect that trend to continue.
Mm-hmm.
And then, besides placing a higher offer on a home, what other ways are there to stand out among other buyers to make a seller choose me? And I think this kind of might pertain to a multiple offer situation. Because we're in a seller market, we're seeing some properties that are receiving 2, 3, and even more offers on a property that we would call a hot property. And so therefore, making your best offer in that type of situation is crucial. And sometimes your best offer might be making some concessions, whereas your lender might say, ask for the seller to pay your closing costs. Well, if you've got that money in your pocket that you could do that, it might be best in that type of situation to pay your own closing costs. These are things that you can talk over with your lender and your realtor to decide what is the best way to make your best offer. Another question is, are there any small ways a seller can prepare their house to be sold quickly? Does staging a home really work? So the first part of that question, what ways can I help my house sell quickly? I think the most crucial thing that you need to do is hire a realtor to help you establish an asking price. And your realtor is going to check data that pertains to your property. They're going to compare houses that have sold that are similar to yours and come up with an asking price that's supported by data. And therefore, it would be good to listen to that advice because it is based on good information. Another thing you might consider is getting a home inspection. Most buyers will obtain a home inspection, so if you have already done that, made some repairs that were named in the inspection report, you're going to be a step ahead of just kind of finding some issues prior to your listing your property. And you might even offer that home inspection report to your buyer. So those are a couple good tips. And staging works. I believe in staging. I even have a few staging items that I keep and can move from property to property. And then sometimes with what a seller would have, we can come up with a plan to stage your home. Staging for the photos and staging for the photos is crucial and really a good move. And that's all of the questions that I have and all the information that I have. What about you, Terry?
I just have one more tidbit of credit information. And when you run your credit report and you get your credit score will probably always be higher than when a lender runs it. There's different overlays. So when the toughest overlay is when your credit is ran for a mortgage. And then another overlay that's not quite as tough as a mortgage if a lender runs it for an auto loan or a personal loan. And then when you run it yourself, you get a whole different score. So there's different overlays. So many times I have people come in and they'll say my score is whatever, 700, I just ran it. But I guarantee you, as a lender, as a mortgage lender, when it's ran, the system picks up on that. And the credit bureaus pick up on that, and the score will be different just because, like I said, there's a different set of overlays on that. So something to keep in mind.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, I think that's all we have for tonight.
I would like to thank Scott Johnson again for allowing us to host this event here. We've all had, I think we've had hot chocolate and tea and coffee, and it's been delicious. And I even saw some cinnamon rolls back here. So anyway, so thanks, and thanks for joining us.
Have a great night.
Bye.